All righty, we are good to go. Let me pull up Alabama Postgame Live at the voice of college football. I'm here. I'm finally getting live. Sorry, folks. I'm here with Jackson Johnson. Thank you for joining. He's super kind because, folks, I still don't feel great. I feel better than I did last week, but we still do not feel 100%, unfortunately. But we're here. Alabama wins 42-10 over Wisconsin in what was an impressive performance by the Tide, offensively and defensively. There are reasons for that. You know, we don't want to get too high as Alabama heads into the bye week before a big showdown in Tuscaloosa against Georgia. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. I will tell you, though, as a matter of fact, as of today, this is the largest victory at Camp Randall for a road opponent since October 11th, 2008, where Penn State defeated Wisconsin 48-7.
You know, have you ever been to Madison?
Unfortunately, no.
So I went to Madison in 2019 when they had Jonathan Taylor, and they played Michigan, and they beat the crap out of Michigan. If you ever get a chance to go to Madison, for any of you watching, you should go. It's a lot of fun, and you'll see a lot of Bama fans on Twitter being like, "Oh my God, this is super fun." I felt really bad for the Wisconsin fans doing jump around at the end of the third quarter when it was 35-10, and then they all left because like Bama, like it's so hard to watch. Not hard, but it's so funny to watch. Like, you know, like your team's getting killed, and you just have to kind of. There's a cool tradition everyone wants to enjoy, and it's just one of those things like, all right, well, and then it's time to take off. But what are your overall thoughts on today's game? Like just, basic breakdown before we really get into the nitty gritty.
I'll tell you, I was glad seeing the performance from Brian Williams. Like, dude is not even 18 yet, and he's making some of these impressive performances throughout the 2024 season, including today. It's been amazing seeing old Williams.
It is very rare that you see a freshman play in the SEC and you're like, that's first round pick in 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Clowney, Amari Cooper as a freshman was awesome. Like, they're very rarely do you see these kind of guys, you just watch him and you go, nope, he's first round pick in 2 years. Him and Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State are going to have a fun wide receiver one battle for the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, Brian Williams won't turn 18 until February 9th, 2025.
So I got to say, when they got the ball back after Wisconsin at the end of the half and Wisconsin missed the field goal, I was very pleased they were aggressive. Because a lot of times you see coaches just pack it up, get to the locker room. At that time, all right, we're up 14-3. Wisconsin with Braden Locke's really not going to be able to move the ball. They were aggressive. They hit Williams on a deep pass, 2 plays, and then that was the Bernard touchdown. Love to see that from DeBoer. And again, Jalen Milroe just throws a really pretty deep ball.
Oh, yeah.
He just does. I mean, it could be kind of scattershot between like 5 and 15. He's still improving in that area, but him from 15 on is just, he throws a beautiful ball.
Oh, yeah. He does indeed.
I thought the offense as a whole played really well today. You could tell that Caden Proctor was back, and it wasn't Formby at tackle. You could really tell that he was back and mauling dudes. Wisconsin's got a physical defense. I'm going to give some credit to Wisconsin when TVD went out. And if you were watching the show last week, I don't think TVD's that good. I think he's okay. They were on a nice drive when he got hurt. And first I thought he got like the wind knocked out of him because he landed on the ball, and then very quickly it was evident. No, that's not what happened. But Braden Locke stinks. If you watched any Wisconsin last year, he's just not a very good quarterback. And the Wisconsin defense played hard there for a little while, but eventually that's kind of the dam broke because you can only play so much before you just kind of when you're playing a team like Alabama where they're consistently breaking off 5-6 yard runs, Milrose hitting deep shots, Milrose running the ball at you, and this big physical body, there's only so much you can do. Well, the credit to Wisconsin for defense for a long time. They really hung in there. But you could tell that touchdown before the half kind of broke them.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like that injury to Tyler Van Dyke that really hurt Wisconsin big time, and it's gonna be interesting to see when he'll return, because I'm hoping he'll be all right. Because I'm sure he will be, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially in the coming weeks ahead for the Badgers.
This isn't a Wisconsin podcast, so we're not going to break down Wisconsin, but
nope.
But man, like proof of concept for Luke Fickell's got to be coming around the corner soon, right?
I would say, I mean,
like it has to. Not saying it has. I'm saying like you would think like Luke Fickell's a good coach, but that proof of concept, like what you're doing is working, should probably. And they have a tough schedule ahead of them. But yeah, hope for Tyler Van Dyke.
Oh yeah,
he was so good in 2021. It was 2021 when he was at Miami, and then he really struggled. 22 struggled last year. Ends up at Wisconsin, second chance, and hasn't really played well. But yeah, you don't want to see injuries like that happen. But back to Bama, as C Bama says, roll Tide. Yeah, I just thought
roll Tide, C Bama.
Front to back, I thought Bama played a really solid football game.
Oh man, I'll tell you one guy that I loved watching for a little bit today. It was Jam Miller. He was tremendous. I mean, he had 71 yards and 9 carries. And 1 touchdown.
Jam's got some wiggle.
Yeah.
He's got some wiggle. And God bless Brian Robinson. It's been a while since we've seen like a stud back at Alabama. Now, Milrose, he's not a running back, but he has that stud running ability. But it's been since 2020 because and part of that might have been Bill O'Brien, but Bill O'Brien might just be very good OC. He's a good head coach. He's doing a nice job at Boston College. They lost to Mizzou, but that's you go on the road against a top 10 team. But it's been a while since we've seen a dominant Bama back. I'm wondering if he can be the guy.
I think he could be. I mean, I love what I saw from our team today. I'm loving what we're going to see for the rest of the season.
Well, there's a lot of questions a lot of the questions that we'll bring up today and through the bye week will be answered in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's going to be.
We'll know.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't mean you win if you don't beat Georgia. Okay, but we'll know a lot about this team in 2 weeks. Your season's not over if you lose to Georgia at home, but we'll know more about this team than we know now in 2 weeks.
For sure. We'll definitely know about our strengths and weaknesses. I mean, we were a lot better than we were last week.
Well, last week was disastrous, and we were talking a bit about this on the backstage. But last week, USF just had dudes running open all game downfield. They were just wide open. Wisconsin had a little bit of that today. Part of it is because Phil Longo knows what he's doing as a coordinator for the most part. It's not his fault that Braden Locke just isn't very good. So he's going to scheme up a couple things. And he did. There was like a slot fade that Braden Locke just missed in the third quarter when the game was basically over. There was a fade route. I think it was before the half. Not a fade, a flag route that Braden Locke just missed. But that's just going to kind of happen in college football. You're going to have some guys that get schemed open. But I thought they did a much better job today of not just letting guys roam. Touchdown LSU.
Oh, man, that game's getting close.
It's 36-33 with 1:12 left. That game's taken forever.
Oh, man, it's like I can't believe like South Carolina, like a couple weeks back, they barely beat Old Dominion, but then a week ago they spanked Kentucky, and now it's College Game Day's going to town for South Carolina LSU.
Ridiculous, but it is what it is.
Yeah, they don't ask us, but they should.
But I thought the Bama defense today, last week they looked good side to side. That they didn't miss a lot of tackles. They were very quick to the ball because USF's quarterback just could not get the ball downfield. So all he could do was quick game. And so I thought the Bama defense did a pretty good job of that last week. I think they did a better job today. I think they looked pretty good moving side to side, not letting Wisconsin do anything offensively. Wisconsin, I think, had the one drive that was okay. Ches Malusi ended up with 6 yards of carry, 11 for 66. But you take away the long at 21, now we're at 10 for 45. It's 4.5 yards of carry. Like, Wisconsin ran the ball okay, 41 carries, 149 yards at 3.6 yards per carry. I think a ton of that came after it was over. They got it to 28. So I didn't think Wisconsin would win, but I perked up a little bit. Having done Bama now for 3 years, you see so many of these games. I perked up a little bit. Wisconsin cut it to 28-10, then forced a 3-and-out and got the ball back. And then I was like, if it's 28-17 going into the fourth, that's interesting. Like, they won't do it because I don't think Braden Locke's going to lead 2 scoring drives against Alabama. But it could get interesting. And then they fumble. So,
yeah.
Did you think at any point that this could get interesting after it got 20 after half?
Yeah. Well, I thought it would get a little closer in the third quarter, honestly. And, for those who tuned in on Crimson Tide Live 3 with Ryan Herrings at Locked On Badgers with Johnny Burtz and myself on Monday afternoon, I actually thought this game was going to be closer than this, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a 28-20 game. But, the thing was, I didn't take into account Tyler Van Dyke getting hurt. I didn't think that would happen, to be honest. I don't think anybody did.
No, especially on the first drive. And he was pretty – I mean, we'll see. You want to – there's the joke on Twitter, like it's the American Psycho. It's like nice scripted drives. Let's see the unscripted ones. I think it's Stats of War. But they were leading a nice drive. He was 5 for 5. They're getting around midfield. I think it would have been like 2nd and 1 when he got hurt or whatever. It just, he gets hurt and – what can you do? I mean,
yeah.
As we keep breaking, make sure to subscribe to Alabama Live, the voice of college football. We do this every week. Obviously, a bye week next week, but the big one against Georgia, and then Alabama really gets into the SEC schedule. Then they go to Vanderbilt, who probably be the second best team they would have played through 5 games behind Georgia. Like, I think Vanderbilt's better than Wisconsin.
Well, unless South Carolina wins this ball game in just a little bit, I mean, South Carolina just might be.
So Bama moving forward has Georgia.
Yup.
They then comparatively, you got 2 weeks against lesser teams. You got Vanderbilt and you got South Carolina. Now, South Carolina's defensive line is no joke. I think South Carolina has legitimately a top end defensive line in the sport. I don't know. I couldn't tell you if it's the 5th best defensive line or 6th best defensive line, but it's up there. And then you get into the gauntlet. You got Tennessee, you got Missouri, you got LSU. So what do we need to see from Bama, and this includes the Georgia game, over the next month or so to make you think this team can win a national title based on what you've seen through 3 games?
Oh, we're going to have to make sure our O-line's getting better and better. We got to make sure we're protecting our QB as much as possible. That's what we got to do. Because I remember Kellen DeBoer stressed that we got to protect our QB as much as possible.
Which is hard sometimes when Milroe doesn't like to protect himself sometimes. He still has a bad tendency of drifting back into sacks.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's not on the tackles, it's on him because he just keeps drifting back and holding on to the football. But it's not as bad as it was last year. Even at this point last year when they because he didn't play in the USF game. But Texas, it was horrible. He was horrible with it. And first game was against Middle Tennessee. He did not, it's Middle Tennessee, but he had some tendencies. Not nearly as bad. Reminder, you can catch us on your favorite audio platform. We are here now. Mark's doing here a great job here at the Voice of College Football. We're just going to keep expanding and building on what we've got here. This is my third year doing this. Jackson, you want to go into a little bit more of that while I cough and take a drink of water?
But yeah, you can check out Alabama at the Voice of College Football on your favorite audio platform, which is Amazon Music, Audible, Spotify, and pretty soon you'll be checking it out on Apple Podcasts. And let me tell you something. If you want top news and notes on the Alabama Crimson Tide, come on in to Alabama at the Voice of College Football. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss it.
Thank God you're the best.
Oh, thanks, man.
And also, the College Football Show with Mark Rogers, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Get all your news and notes. Mark does a tremendous job covering everything from Florida State losing to Memphis, which is hilarious, to coast to coast, conference to conference. He does a tremendous job, and this gives him even more time to break down games that not everybody's watching. Not everyone's a dork like me and has a laptop and 3 TVs that they can just watch everything. Obviously, Bama's on the big TV with the audio.
I stay up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. watching.
Oh, yeah, you got to pass the Hawaii test, man. I mean, yeah, I didn't last week. Last week, I got off here and went to bed. I couldn't do it anymore.
I tried my best with Hawaii, Delaware State, but it was like even I couldn't do it.
No, that's too simple.
I love
do that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm asleep, and I can't find a live stream of this game anyhow. Give me Colt Brennan, man.
Mark does a great job.
Best of the best.
Come on in, watch the show, subscribe. Do everything he tells you to.
Tell your friends, your family, your frenemies, and the cashiers at Publix about Crimson Tide Live every Monday afternoon, 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and tell your friends, family, your frenemies, and the cashiers at Publix about Zach Remulus doing the Alabama Crimson Tide post-game show right here on Alabama with the Voice of College Football. This channel is 110 subs away from the magic number 2,500 subs. Let's get it there.
And if you don't live near a Publix like me, because I live in St. Louis, tell your grocery store owner, whether it's Schnucks, Deerbergs, Oh, yeah. But yeah. But okay. So the Alabama defense, I thought they came ready to play after the first drive. Okay. I think the first drive, the scripted drives for a lot of teams, they do go well. They're things that you practice every day. But I think the Bama defense came ready to hit. They laid the wood today to some guys, including poor Braden Locke. Man, I hate to pick on the guy. He's making more money out of Wisconsin being the backup quarterback than I'll probably ever make in my life in the financial industry. But he got leveled today. Bama only finished 4 sacks. It's not horrible for Braden Locke.
Gotta get those numbers up.
But Wisconsin wasn't doing anything where it's like, we're not going to take any deep drops. We're not going to do anything crazy.
Oh, and it's no good out wide left. South Carolina. LSU has won 36-33, and LSU has dodged a bullet against the South Carolina Gamecocks.
It's rare for me to say I feel bad for other teams, but I really do feel bad for South Carolina. When Sellers went out and he missed like a quarter, and he's just clearly not healthy. I feel bad for them. They should have won that game. That's tough.
Shane Beamer's a pretty cool head coach.
See, I think he's a dork. But
nothing wrong with that.
My second, besides DeBoer, my guy's Drinkwitz, so I can't really make fun of other people for being a dork. Love. Hey,
ain't nothing wrong with that. That's the way I look at it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. As long as you're good.
I love how much him and Mark Stoops hate each other.
Yeah. The hype Kentucky gets irritates me to no end.
I appreciate coaches who hate. Like Heupel and Drinkwitz don't like each other. Like it just feels like in this era of dominance, because every SEC coach there for a while was just a Saban disciple, and none of them disliked Nick Saban, and they all coached together, so they all liked each other. And it's just, God, I miss rivalries, but there's some coaches now in the SEC that just kind of, and Brian Kelly. Everybody hates Brian Kelly, so.
Oh yeah, I
That'll be a
mean,
fun one in a few
he
weeks.
he thinks he's an 18-year-old, like with the way he's dancing. So I guess he's gonna celebrate with those little dance moves like this. Look at me, I'm a trendy 60-year-old. Okay.
That LSU game is gonna be interesting because I don't think there's a greater disparity in being able to pass block versus run block than LSU. Their pass blocking is pretty good. Their run blocking is, well, see if it gets better in the next couple months. But defensively, what do you take away from this game for Alabama?
Well, you mentioned a little while ago how he had 4 sacks today. I think we're gonna have to pump those numbers up in the next few weeks, especially as the season rolls around.
Yeah, and again, a lot of these times, like it's so hard to get a sack in college football now. College quarterbacks are so good; offenses are not designed to get the ball out so quick. And with RPO, it's hard to rush because sometimes, like, oh god, you lose your gap, and all of a sudden there's a 20-yard run right where you were supposed to be. It's difficult to pass rush in college football nowadays, but I think they did a pretty good job of getting consistent pressure. But that'll need to be better as they play better O-lines. Again, the test comes in 2 weeks. I mean, we can do a pregame show for that one. What is my cat yelling at?
I think he likes your idea of the pregame show.
What?
I think he likes your idea of the pregame show.
Yeah, she hang on, let me freaking mute it while I shut her up.
Oh man.
I don't know what she's yelling at. Oh my god! But we'll know more
I think
about
she's
Alabama.
yelling for something at Top Quality Shirts. So come on in to Top Quality Shirts for the top-notch merchandise for the voice of college football, where you can get some of the top-notch stuff, especially for this football season. Here we go, and bop. I think that's what the kitty cat's yelling for.
Oh,
coffee mugs, T-shirts,
probably.
notebooks. Hey, notebooks. That's where you can keep all your secrets. Hey, what's her name? What's her name?
Aria.
Aria.
Yelling. We're just trying to do a show. I told you had to be quiet.
Well, I think Aria's yelling for a notebook, wine glass. I don't care about your team shirt. Voice college football flag, blue jean jacket, pullover, long sleeve shirt, socks. Oh, a pet bowl. There's a pet bowl, but it's also used for the cat as well. So I can tell you right now, you're going to love it. But if there's any merch ideas that you got, email them to footballnewshour@gmail.com. He is the merch decider for top quality shirts.
Let's go ahead and I'm going to flip it over. Let's run the ad for the betting. I don't have it in my, so the overlay is going to look a little messy. But we're going to go ahead and run that real quick. So we'll be back in 1 minute.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
And that's not all. Steve Merrill is 2-0 this season in the under-the-radar picks, including Rutgers' victory over Akron in Week 2 and Pittsburgh's victory over Kent State. Pittsburgh was a 24-point favorite. They won by way more than that. Rutgers was a 23-point favorite against Akron last Saturday. They won by 32. So if you're doing some parlays during the college football season, make sure to include Steve Merrill's under the radar pick. You won't regret it. It's like an investment for the future.
What he said. I can't add it. I was like waiting to be like, okay, what can I add? Oh no, he nailed it.
I did my best.
So we talked about the sack numbers. I still think the secondary needs to be better moving forward. What do you need to see Bama work on during the bye week?
I would like to see that secondary, like you said, work on the passing defense. We got to work plenty on that, because if we don't work on that, Carson Beck is going to have us annihilated. And if we don't get annihilated by Carson Beck, we'll get annihilated by Nico Imaliva at Tennessee on the third Saturday in October. And it's a good thing LSU, we don't know what their passing game's looking like. It's nowhere near like last year, but still, though, you don't want to have to hope that other teams don't have a good enough quarterback in some cases to make sure that your secondary is doing all right. You want to make sure you can put a stop to the passing game on defense, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, we're going to play some passing attacks here down the road that are going to be pretty dangerous. Tennessee's got a great one. Mizzou's got a pretty good one. LSU's got a good one. OU, I think, has a good one, but I'm not, they're also dealing with a ton of injuries, to be fair to the Sooners. So we'll see how that goes. But, I mean, Auburn doesn't, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're not playing Auburn at Auburn this year.
Yeah, thank God.
Oof.
I saw they benched Peyton Thorne and only took him a year. But I'm excited for the rest of the season for Alabama. I talked last week because I didn't do week one. And if I had done week one, I wouldn't have done last week just because I'm deathly ill. I don't think Alabama is going to win the SEC. I think the schedule is too tough. I think Georgia's got a pretty – I know they go to Ole Miss. They go to Bama. We'll know more in 2 weeks. If Alabama beats Georgia, I think they can. But I didn't predict it in my preseason predictions.
Neither
that doesn't mean they can't win a national title with the 12-team playoff. I would like to see Bama over the bye week, and it's the same thing. We say this time and time again. I want to see the intermediate stuff be better. Because when you do play these elite teams, when you play Tennessee, when you play Missouri, when you play LSU, and you play Georgia, hitting big plays is good, and you can win. They did beat Georgia last year. That's a good thing. But in order to consistently be winning these games, you can't always be relying on huge chunk plays. You need to be able to consistently convert 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, and keep the chains moving so that you're not relying only on big plays. So I need to see them just keep improving on those intermediate third downs, and Milroe keep improving on the intermediate game. I still don't think he's quite there yet. I think he's better than he was last year, especially early. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yes, we will. But, Kirby, if there's one thing I've noticed about him is he's really good at revenge games. He's learned quite a lot from Nick Saban. And that aspect is one of them.
Oh, George will be ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to kill Kentucky tonight. They'll be ready to go. And I think Bama will be ready to go. 6:30 primetime kick in Bryant-Denny. That's going to be an electric atmosphere. It's going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to that football game. I'm looking forward to a postgame on that one.
Oh, yeah. That'll be fun.
I've been doing these for 3 years, man. You get kind of sick of doing, all right, Bama won by 30. All right. Cool. What's going on? What's up next? Not that, it's not, I talk to talk about college football to myself at work. So, but it's just kind of nice to, it'll be nice to have a game that presumably. Should be a really fun one. There's nothing more fun than coming on here after like a fun Bama win, like the SEC championship last year, or like Tennessee last year. Because there's like things you can talk about. Because when a game like this, man, it's so hard to not just focus on negatives. Because you're like, okay, I don't want to get too high. They beat a bad team. If Tyler Van Dyke's legitimately hurt, Wisconsin might not make a bowl. They still got Oregon. They still got Penn State. I think they also play USC.
Oh, yeah. They play USC 2 weeks from now. I think we'll know on Monday what network it's going to be on. I don't think it's going to be a big noon kickoff game. I'm not sure, but it's probably going to be like a 2:30 kick. Oh, yeah. But
like Wisconsin's also play USC. They got to play at Rutgers. I think Rutgers is pretty decent this year.
Nebraska, they got to play Nebraska.
Do they got Nebraska? They got to play Rutgers. They got to play Penn State. They got to go to Iowa. They got to play Oregon. Man, if it's going to be Braden Locke back there. I don't know if they're going to make a bowl. So it's important with the 12 team too. If you have a team like Wisconsin, it is important to it's going to be important to blow these teams out for style. It's like style points it's going to be back to the BCS. Where if you don't win your conference and you're fighting for seeds 5 through 11, because the group of 5 team is going to be the 12, style points are going to matter. Mizzou, Boston College is a pretty good football team, but Mizzou only winning by 6 versus, let's just say like an 8-4 Boston College team versus Bama beating up on a 6-6 Wisconsin team on the road. Like that's going to matter when it comes to seeding when we get to December for teams that don't win or if Bama and Penn State are 8-9, who's going to host? Well, Bama did go beat the crap out of Wisconsin on the road. Penn State really struggled with Bowling Green. And I know Bama did struggle with USF, but they were able to put that game away. So if you weren't paying attention, that game looked like a blowout.
Or better yet, we see like Alabama, USC, they're both 10-2, and that head-to-head deciding factor is who was better against Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Mizzou was probably a bad example because the two teams play, but
yeah, because like let's say you have because we would have Alabama beating Wisconsin as of today with 42-10, but then you see a USC 28-20 victory over Wisconsin. That would help Alabama.
Yeah, and especially since USC gets them at home.
Oh yeah. So I think honestly, if Wisconsin goes 9-3 this season, which I don't think they would go 10-2, but I mean if they did, and that's a mighty big.
I don't know if they're going to make a bowl, man.
Oh well, that's true because I mean, like if they went 9-3,
Oregon, USC still, Nebraska still, like Rutgers isn't an easy game on the road. Like they just got to. But that's why. But like we said, that's why it was important because if they are like a 6-6, I think in my preseason I had a 5-7. I got to pull that doc up sometime.
I had them at 8-4, but I've said that they could be better than that. I
had them at 7-5, but I gotta just because it was on my work computer and I'm switching jobs, so I gotta just upload it. But if they are a 6-6, 7-5 tie team, then you needed to blow them out.
Yep.
And you did. That 42. This wasn't last week where that was a very deceptive score. If you didn't watch the game, 42-16, Bama killed them. No.
Oh,
that was a game for 50 minutes, if not 52 minutes. This was not a game after half. Now, there are reasons for that. I don't think Wisconsin's that good, and their starting quarterback goes out. This freaking cat.
Oh, no worries. I've slipped up from time to time. Don't worry.
Yeah. My bad, Mark. I'm sorry.
Nah, I'm sure it'd be cool with it.
This cat has not stopped since like noon. But it's important that you blow these kinds of teams out. That's just something that's just the reality. Look, I hate the 12-team playoff. If you watched any show last year, I complained about it over and over and over again. I think it's dumb. I think it's super dumb, but it's the reality we live in. So now you have to
either go to 4, 8, Or, just like play all the ball games and then determine the two best teams from all the ball games.
So like pre 1999 or 2000 or before 2005. 2005 was like the first real.
Yeah. Well, I
That's
mean,
okay.
2006 was the first BCS national championship game
Yeah, but 2005 wasn't. It was Texas USC with
in the Rose Bowl. Granddad of them
the
all.
best
Keith Jackson's
college
last
football game of
game
all time.
calling college football.
But man, like, Notre Dame's putting in work against Purdue. Good for them.
I really think I think that Northern Illinois loss was a reality check.
This is part of the reason. Part of the problem I have with the 12-team playoff. Notre Dame season should be over. It should be over. It should be over. You lost to Northern Illinois at home.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if they go 11-1? They're not going to keep out an 11-1 Notre Dame. No, they should. Like if Penn State had lost to Bowling Green last week, season should be over. We're done. You don't get to lose to MAC teams at home and still have a chance to be called the best team in the country. But that's just reality. So you just got to rewire your brain. Like, okay, this is how the world works now. This is what how you got to rework your analysis to fit into what we do, into the box. And for those kind of teams, it's going to be important to blow them out.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll always remember Kansas is still in the playoff mix because like all they have to do is get a spot in the Big 12 title game, then win it, and they got one of the 4 spots. I know that's aggravating.
I just hated that you said that.
I know it's aggravating, but it's just like
I can't wait to do that game. By the way, I haven't ever gotten to talk about Mizzou on here, so I'm like, the other team I cover. Let's go.
I wanted to see Kansas, Missouri play in the Liberty Bowl so bad 2022.
And then Brett McMurphy ran with a lie that Mizzou didn't want to play in that. Yeah, I remember.
Oh man, Brett McMurphy spread that crap. I thought it was like, no,
it was Brett McMurphy, and then Reddit College Football ran with it, and a bunch of other people ran with it. And
I was like,
Mizzou played Illinois in basketball that night or something. Like they didn't want to double up like a basketball and a football game.
Man, I can't wait for next year when Missouri and Kansas play each other.
I'm gonna be playing to go to that.
Oh man, I'll be making sure to watch it for sure. I'll be playing Peanuts music before it starts.
I can't wait for that, but I think that today. So last week, I came on here and I was pretty negative. For most of the time. Now, again, the game took 4 hours. For some reason, I was sick. In a bit of a mood. I think today was like probably the most positive outcome you could have if you're an Alabama fan. You went on the road into a tough environment. Madison is a tough place to play, no matter how good. It's kind of like South Carolina. No matter how good or bad South Carolina is, the fans will show up. Madison's a tough place to play. And you went in there and you dominated. You won. And you won going away. You got your backups in the fourth quarter. Ty Simpson came in and, made a couple throws. You got a highlight out of Ryan Williams. A couple highlights out of Ryan Williams. He's nice. Yeah, man. Okay, so obviously you have Burden, McMillan at Arizona. And there's some other guys like Buka at Ohio State. They haven't played anybody yet, though, so it's hard to be like, oh yeah, we're probably like 2 weeks away maybe from putting Ryan. We're a big game against Georgia from putting Ryan Williams into the top 10 conversation. Because it's not only that he's putting up numbers, like he's a key target.
Oh, he's huge.
He's a key target. He's not like it's not like, oh, this is a found money. Like, oh wow, like we got a top 15 receiver in the country here. He's like a key part of the offense. And today, 4 for 78. It wasn't really a need to go to him much in the second half, just because you were up 21-3. But no, I think today was a completely positive result for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I just was looking up the Florida score, and 10-0 Texas A&M after one.
Oh man, like the way that they're going with Graham Mertz be their QB. I mean, you're basically begging to get fired. You're like daring your bosses to give you that huge buyout with that kind of move.
So I'm doing this, so I wasn't able to really watch it, which is fine. I can go back and see it whenever I want. But I was like, Oregon State in Corvallis is going to be the most toxic environment you see all year. Not loudest, not craziest, but it's going to be the most toxic because Oregon State fans are pissed, as they should be. That Florida game right now might match it. That place is probably not a happy place right now.
No, I don't think anybody's happy there.
I can't imagine. Too many folks are feeling good about their team in Gainesville, which is so weird. I mean,
Oh man, those fans are squawking. Like, you think they're mad this week? Wait until they go on the road next week. Because like, if Billy Napier is still in town by then, I wouldn't be surprised we see Florida losing to Mississippi State. Why am I saying that? Because Billy Napier's road record, it's disastrous. You
if they
can
lose
only,
to Mississippi State, fire. Mississippi State's legitimately horrible.
oh yeah,
Like
I,
Texas State's offensive and defensive lines were getting better push than Mississippi State's.
oh yeah. I mean,
Like
because
they're
I mean
legitimately horrible.
the way Billy Napier is going, I like his chances at getting a drink at the Long Branch with Miss Kitty more than I do him staying in Gainesville. It's just not happening.
Yeah, he's man. Like just to think of like the Florida football program when they played Bama in 2022, and they almost won with Emory Jones, and that was a crazy atmosphere, super fun football game. Came right down to the end, and since then, been a disaster. Or no, it was 21. Was it
Yeah, 2021. We were
21,
on.
yeah, it was my first
Yeah,
year
it was
doing
on. September 18th of 2021 on
yeah.
CBS.
Yeah, because it was the year Mizzou beat them in Columbia. That's just what happened to that program, man. Like that's a program that conceivably should be competing for national.
They shouldn't have fired Cousin Eddie. They shouldn't have fired him.
They shouldn't have fired Mullen.
Probably not,
I
because
watched
it's
Mullen
looking.
on TV. He seems like he enjoys life.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's like they should have planned ahead better, honestly. And if they do fire Billy Napier, they need to just pony up the dough for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Because I mean, Lane Kiffin's gonna say the right things about, oh, I love Oxford, which every coach is gonna say the right thing. Every one of them is gonna be like, oh, I love this place. It's my favorite place ever. The only ones that I can think of that have been like a mere exception are like Lance Leipold from Kansas, where it's like he was asked about whether he was going to leave or he was going to stay. He's like, no, I'm staying. And I remember in January 2024 when he was asked whether if he was going to leave for Washington or Michigan, whichever of those places he was going to. When Kalen DeBoer left for Alabama, he's like, no, I'm staying at Kansas. We got to get ready for spring practice. I mean, that post on Ats they put out, that was a dead giveaway that he's in it for life at Kansas. He is in it for life in Lawrence.
My only thing with Lane is I think he's a perfect fit in Oxford.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's perfect. I think Oxford's perfect for him, and I think he's perfect for Oxford. Like Ole Miss has expectations. Like this year, they should make the playoff.
Oh yeah,
but if next year all of a sudden they fall back to 8-4, he's not going to be on the hot seat.
no.
If they go a couple years of 8-4, he's not going to be on the hot seat. He's like Ole Miss has expectations, but it's kind of like they're in that middle tier of the SEC where 8-4 is a pretty good year, and then you're hoping like you jump up, you have a good recruiting class, or you get a couple scheduling breaks, and all of a sudden you can jump up and you go 10-2 or 11-1. I think he's perfect. I don't think he'd be great in Gainesville, but we'll see. I don't know who else Florida would really look at.
Well, I mean, because like I would have said Jed Fish, but he wasn't patient. He took the first job.
I'm so confused still by that. When I did the DeBoer talk, I was like, why? You stay one. Arizona's a pretty good team. They would have I know what they did last night, but they would have been better with Fish. Brent Brennan's a good coach, but like they lost so much defensively. They keep, it's a good football team. He waits a year, he gets the Florida job.
Yeah.
And now he's going to be at Washington. I think they're tied with Washington State right now at 10. Why? Just wait a year.
Why?
I don't understand it. But, Jed Fish is notorious for not staying in places for too long. It's kind of always been his thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we can about wrap this up. We're moving on to other teams and coaching situations. So, is there any final notes you want to talk about or anything you wanted to bring up before we go ahead and wrap this one up?
I spelled all for today, but Monday afternoon, Johnny Burt's and I will definitely be going over a little bit about our take on we'll be going over his take on Alabama, Wisconsin. We'll be going over a little bit about our take on the Tua Tagovailoa injury and whether he should retire or not. Unfortunately,
that's just so tough, man.
I know it's like
it's not up to I just hope he's okay. Like
exactly.
Sometimes your body's just not meant to play football.
True. Well, we'll be discussing like what we need to do, what we need to do better at during the bye week. We'll be going over Neil Brown possibly wanting to replace the Alabama series with more matchups against Pittsburgh. And let me tell you something, it'll be a fun show Monday afternoon.
I saw that. Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Do it. If you're West Virginia, do it. You have an actual rival in Pitt. You're going to get smoked by Alabama. It's just the way the world is. I would play Pitt. Like that. Yeah. For West Virginia, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because it'd be pretty cool. I really hated the fact that we didn't see Pitt, West Virginia for a full decade. I don't want to see that again. Now let's bring back Penn State, Pittsburgh on an annual basis. I'm spoiled by those 4 years from 2016, 2019. I want more of that.
The weird year where Pitt beat them and then Penn State went to the Rose Bowl.
Yep, 2016.
Because James Conner was just a mutant in that game, and they hadn't really figured out how to use Saquon and McSorley yet.
Oh yeah, Saquon is having a ballroom blitz over in Philadelphia.
I think everyone saw that coming, except the New York Giants.
I'm glad he got the heck out of the New York Giants. I mean, or his urinating tree calls them he always refers to them as the team that has their derp moment.
Yeah, it was the McAdoo, Bob McAdoo.
Ben McAdoo.
Bob McAdoo. Good Lord. All righty.
I mean, he's that terrible.
Alabama wins 42-10. I want to thank for dang right. I want to thank Jackson for being here, helping me kind of pencil through this show as I'm dealing with a disgusting sinus infection. This is the worst one. I there's like 1 week a year where I just get sick. I'm usually pretty healthy, and then just 1 week a year. Like a couple years ago, it was COVID, sinus infection, flu, just disgusting. And that's this week for me, unfortunately. So thanks for hopping on. We'll keep in contact about doing something before the Georgia game. Maybe do a couple videos here and there, like an Alabama defensive, an offensive, and coaching. Whatever you want to do, or what I want to do. We'll figure it out. We have a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll figure something out.
Well, everybody, y'all have an awesome Saturday, everybody.
Enjoy the rest of the slate. Something stupid's going to happen today, and if you think this is a bad slate, that's on you. Something stupid's going to happen, and you're going to be like, oh, I should have been watching that. We only get 12 of these a year, folks.
Upsets are coming.
Something stupid. Okay, it's probably not going to be Purdue over Notre Dame, but something's coming. Thank you, Jax, for being here. Thank you all for tuning in. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get alerts when we start previewing Georgia, man. 2 weeks. Game of the year in college football, potentially, in Tuscaloosa. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. And roll Tide.
Roll Tide.